The Varnak fleet retreated, their ships limping away from Earth's orbit as humanity's forces stood ready to strike again if needed. The battle was over, but the war for trust and understanding had only just begun. Commander Xalthar's parting words echoed in Rachel Brooks' mind. Others will come. She knew he was right. Earth's emergence as a galactic power would attract attention, both friendly and hostile. Humanity's place in the universe had changed forever. Back on Earth, General Hayes addressed the United Nations in a historic broadcast. Standing before world leaders and a global audience, he spoke plainly about the truth that had been hidden for decades. "We have kept secrets to protect our planet," he admitted. "But now, those secrets are laid bare. Earth is not alone in the cosmos, and we must step forward as equals among the stars." His speech sparked mixed reactions. Some people cheered, proud of humanity's achievements. Others were angry, demanding accountability for the sacrifices made along the way. Emily Dawson's expose continued to circulate, sparking debates about ethics, transparency, and the cost of power. Mark Brooks watched the coverage quietly, his guilt weighing heavily on him. He hoped that exposing the truth might lead to a better future, even if it came at a personal cost. In Chicago, Jack Miller noticed a shift in the mood around the city. The protests died down, replaced by a sense of cautious optimism. People talked less about fear and more about possibilities, what Earth could achieve if it worked together. Jack found himself looking up at the night sky more often, wondering what other wonders might be out there. In Seattle, Lisa Carter returned to her classroom, relieved to see her students back at their desks. They peppered her with questions about aliens and spaceships, their imaginations running wild. She smiled, encouraging their curiosity. "The universe is full of mysteries," she told them, "and maybe someday you'll help solve them." Rachel sat in her office at GDI headquarters, staring at a holographic map of the solar system. Earth was no longer isolated. Its borders extended far beyond the atmosphere. She thought about the choices they had made, the lives lost, the moral compromises, and wondered if humanity was truly ready for what lay ahead. But she also felt a flicker of hope. For all its flaws, humanity had proven it could rise to the occasion when it mattered most. General Hayes joined her after a long day of meetings. "You did good," he said simply. "Not perfect, but good." "Good enough?" Rachel asked, raising an eyebrow. "For now," Hayes replied with a faint smile. "But this isn't the end. It's just the beginning." Emily Dawson published a follow-up article, focusing on humanity's potential to grow and learn from its mistakes. She wrote about the importance of unity, compassion, and responsibility as Earth stepped onto the galactic stage. Her words resonated with many, offering a vision of a brighter future despite the challenges ahead. As days turned into weeks, life on Earth began to settle into a new rhythm. Scientists collaborated with engineers to refine alien technology, while diplomats prepared for eventual contact with other species. Humanity's greatest secret was no longer a secret, but its greatest strength remained its ability to adapt, innovate, and persevere. One evening, Rachel stood outside her home, gazing at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly above her, vast and unknown. Fear still lingered in the corners of her mind, but so did excitement. Earth had taken its first steps into the wider universe, and though the road ahead would be difficult, Rachel felt certain of one thing. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. And whatever came next, they would face it together. The stealth ship carrying Rachel Brooks and her team slipped silently through the void of space, its cloaking device rendering it invisible to the Varnak fleet. Inside, the atmosphere was tense but focused. Each member of the team knew the stakes. Failure meant not only their deaths, but possibly the end of humanity as they knew it. Rachel sat in the pilot's seat, her hands steady on the controls as she guided the vessel toward the heart of the Varnak Armada. Commander Xalthar, aboard the flagship, remained unaware of the intruders. He paced the command deck, his mind occupied with thoughts of Earth's response to the ultimatum. Would they submit, or would they resist? The humans had surprised him before, and that uncertainty gnawed at him. His second-in-command, Zinura, noticed his unease. "Something troubles you," she said softly. "The humans are unpredictable," Zalfar admitted. "Their actions defy logic. I fear we may have underestimated them." Before Zinura could respond, alarms blared across the ship. Technicians scrambled to identify the source of the disturbance. "Intruder alert," one shouted. "Multiple systems are failing." Rachel and her team had breached the flagship undetected, deploying nanotech swarms into the ship's core systems. The tiny machines infiltrated circuits and conduits, disrupting communications, disabling weapons, and sowing chaos among the crew. Lights flickered, consoles sparked, and the hum of the ship's engines faltered. "We're in," Rachel whispered, her voice tight with adrenaline. She signaled her team to move deeper into the vessel, heading for the central control room, where they could deliver the final blow. Along the way, they encountered Varnock soldiers, but their advanced training and compact energy weapons gave them the edge. The skirmishes were brief but intense, each victory bringing them closer to their goal. Back on Earth, General Hayes monitored the mission from GDI headquarters. Screens displayed real-time data from the stealth ship, showing the extent of the damage inflicted on the Varnock flagship. "They're doing it," he muttered, pride and anxiety warring within him. He turned to Daniel Grayson, who stood nearby, pale but resolute. "Prepare the fleet. If this works, we'll need to be ready to strike while they're vulnerable." Grayson nodded and relayed the order. Hidden fleets stationed across the solar system sprang to life, engines roaring, as ships emerged from their concealed positions. Humanity's secret arsenal, decades in the making, was finally unveiled. Sleek starships armed with devastating weaponry moved into formation, waiting for Hayes' command. On the Varnock flagship, Commander Xalfar struggled to regain control. The nanotech swarms spread like wildfire, overwhelming every system they touched. "Contain the intruders," he barked, his voice sharp with urgency. But his orders came too late. Rachel and her team reached the central control room, finding it in disarray. Varnock technicians worked frantically to counteract the sabotage, but they were no match for the humans' precision and determination. Rachel activated a portable EMP device, sending a pulse through the room that disabled all remaining systems. The lights went out, plunging the flagship into darkness. For a moment, silence reigned. Then Rachel spoke into her communicator, her voice clear and unwavering. "Mission complete. The flagship is neutralized." Outside, Earth's hidden fleet surged forward, surrounding the crippled Varnock armada. General Hayes issued a single command: target their propulsion systems. Disable, don't destroy. The human ships unleashed a barrage of precision strikes, crippling the Varnock vessels without causing unnecessary casualties. The message was clear: Earth was powerful, but it wasn't barbaric. As the dust settled, Commander Xalfar stared at the screens displaying Earth's fleet. He had misjudged humanity, and now he faced the consequences. Slowly, he raised his hands in a gesture of surrender. "We underestimated you," he said over an open channel. "But know this, others will come, and they may not be as forgiving." Rachel exhaled deeply, exhaustion washing over her. They had won for now. But as she gazed at the stars beyond the viewport, she knew the galaxy was vast, and humanity's trials were far from over. Commander Xalfar stood in the center of the Varnock High Council chamber, his scales shimmering faintly under the soft glow of overhead lights. The council members, elderly Varnock with elongated bodies and wise, unblinking eyes, listened intently as he delivered his report on Earth. He described humanity's rapid technological advancements, their hidden facilities, and the recent global unrest sparked by the leaked expose. His words painted a picture of a species both ingenious and unpredictable. "The humans have achieved remarkable progress," Xalfar concluded, his voice steady but cautious. "But their methods are questionable, and their society is divided. They may pose a threat to stability in this region of space. The council members exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Finally, one of them spoke, her voice deep and resonant. Earth's rise cannot be ignored. If left unchecked, they could challenge our dominance, or worse, attract the attention of more aggressive species. We must act decisively. After hours of deliberation, the council reached a verdict. Earth would be given an ultimatum: submit to Varnock oversight or face annihilation. It was a harsh decision, but the council believed it necessary to maintain order in the galaxy. Zalfar accepted the mission without hesitation, though he couldn't shake the feeling that humanity might prove harder to control than anyone anticipated. Back on Earth, General Hayes received the Varnock's message through a secure communication channel. The ultimatum was clear and uncompromising. "They're testing us," Hayes said grimly, addressing Rachel Brooks, Daniel Grayson, and a small group of GDI leaders. "If we back down, we lose everything. If we fight, we risk war." Rachel clenched her fists, frustration bubbling inside her. "We can't just roll over. Not after everything we've done to protect ourselves." Hayes nodded. "I agree. But we need a plan, something that shows them we won't go quietly." Grayson stepped forward, his glasses reflecting the glow of nearby monitors. "We use what they least expect," he suggested. "Our cloaking technology isn't just for hiding. It can also infiltrate. We send a team aboard their flagship, disable their systems from within, and force them to reconsider." The room fell silent as everyone weighed the risks. It was a dangerous gamble, but it might be their only chance to avoid all-out war. Hayes gave the order to prepare a stealth operation, codenamed Shadow Strike *. Rachel volunteered to lead the mission, despite protests from Grayson and others. "I've been part of this since the beginning," she argued. "If anyone can pull this off, it's me." As preparations began, ordinary life on Earth continued amidst growing tension. In Chicago, Jack Miller noticed military vehicles rolling through the streets more frequently. Soldiers patrolled neighborhoods, and helicopters buzzed overhead. At first, people assumed it was related to the protests, but rumors spread quickly. Jack tried to focus on fixing cars, but the unease in the air was impossible to ignore. In Seattle, Lisa Carter struggled to keep her students calm. Parents were pulling their children out of school, fearing the worst. Lisa stayed late at night, preparing lesson plans no one might ever use. She stared at the stars through her classroom window, wondering if aliens really were watching, and if so, what they thought of humanity's chaos. Meanwhile, Rachel and her team trained tirelessly for the mission. They practiced navigating simulated alien ships, memorized blueprints provided by previous reconnaissance missions, and tested nanotech swarms designed to infiltrate and disrupt Varnock systems. Each step brought them closer to a confrontation that could change everything. On the day of the launch, Rachel stood beside Grayson in the hangar, staring at the sleek ship chosen for the task. "Be careful," Grayson said quietly. "If anything goes wrong." "I'll handle it," Rachel interrupted, forcing a confident smile. "This isn't just about saving Earth. It's about proving we're worth respecting." As the team boarded the vessel, Rachel took one last look at the planet below. Humanity's future rested on their shoulders, fragile yet full of potential. With a deep breath, she turned away and prepared for what lay ahead. High above, the Varnock fleet loomed, unaware of the storm about to hit them. Commander Xalfar monitored Earth's movements closely, expecting compliance or surrender. What he didn't anticipate was humanity's willingness to fight, not just for survival, but for freedom. Emily Dawson stared at the blinking cursor on her laptop screen, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. The weight of what she was about to do pressed down on her like a physical force. Her expose, Earth's hidden truth. The Cost of Power was ready to publish. It detailed everything Mark Brooks had told her: the secret experiments, the stolen alien technology, and the ethical compromises made in the name of protecting humanity. Once it went live, there would be no turning back. She took a deep breath and clicked publish. Within minutes, the article began spreading across the internet like wildfire. Headlines lit up news websites and social media feeds around the world. People were shocked, angry, and scared. Protesters outside government buildings grew louder, their chants echoing through city streets. Conspiracy theorists who had long claimed Earth was hiding alien secrets now felt vindicated, while skeptics demanded proof. At the GDI headquarters, Rachel Brooks watched the chaos unfold from a secure briefing room. Screens displayed live footage of protests and heated debates on news channels. Her stomach churned as she saw images of demonstrators holding signs that read, "Stop the lies," and "Aliens are watching us." She thought about her brother, Mark, and wondered if she'd underestimated how much damage his words could cause. General Hayes paced the room, his face grim. "This is exactly what we didn't need right now," he muttered, rubbing his temples. The Varnuk could see this as a sign of weakness, or worse, an invitation to attack. Rachel felt a pang of guilt. She had always believed the GDI's secrecy was necessary, but seeing the public's reaction made her question whether they'd gone too far. "What do we tell them?" she asked softly. "How do we explain decades of lies?" Hayes sighed heavily. "We don't. Not yet. First, we focus on damage control. If we lose the trust of our own people, we'll have bigger problems than the Varnuk." Meanwhile, Emily's phone buzzed nonstop with calls from other journalists, activists, and even anonymous threats. Some praised her for exposing the truth. Others accused her of endangering humanity. One call stood out, a blocked number with a distorted voice on the other end. "You don't know what you've done," the voice said coldly before hanging up. Emily stared at her phone, suddenly unsure if she'd made the right choice. In Chicago, Jack Miller tried to ignore the commotion outside his repair shop. Customers talked nervously about aliens and government conspiracies, but Jack kept his head down and focused on work. Still, he couldn't help glancing at the TV in the corner of the shop, where reporters discussed the leaked story. Something about it felt unsettling, though he couldn't put his finger on why. Across the country, Lisa Carter struggled to keep her students calm. Their imaginations ran wild, fueled by rumors and half-truths. "Are aliens going to invade?" one boy asked during recess. Lisa knelt beside him, forcing a reassuring smile. "No, sweetie. We're safe. Just focus on your schoolwork, okay?" But even as she spoke, doubt lingered in her mind. Back in space, Commander Xalthar received updates from his crew about the unrest on Earth. The Varnuk High Council had been monitoring the situation closely, intrigued by humanity's internal divisions. Xalthar studied footage of the protests, noting the anger and fear etched on human faces. "They are fractured," he observed, "a species capable of great achievements and great destruction." His second-in-command, Zinera, nodded. "If they cannot unite, they may not survive what comes next." Xalthar agreed silently. He knew the Council would soon decide Earth's fate. Would they see humans as potential allies, or as a threat that needed to be neutralized? For now, all they could do was wait and watch. As night fell over Earth, Rachel sat alone in her office, staring at the stars through the window. She thought about the sacrifices humanity had made to protect itself. The lives lost, the moral compromises, the secrets buried so deep that they might never see the light of day. Was it worth it? And more importantly, could Earth withstand the consequences of its actions now that the truth was out? For the first time in years, Rachel wasn't sure. The news of humanity's first contact with an alien species didn't stay hidden for long. Despite the GDI's best efforts to keep the mission aboard the Eclipse classified, whispers of the encounter began to spread. A low-level technician at a monitoring station accidentally leaked fragments of the communication logs online. Within hours, social media erupted with speculation and panic. People around the world stared at their screens, trying to make sense of blurry images and cryptic messages about aliens and advanced technology. In New York City, Emily Dawson sat at her cluttered desk in a small apartment-turned-office. She was a journalist known for digging up truths others wanted to bury. Her phone buzzed constantly as tip-offs flooded in from anonymous sources claiming to have inside information about the GDI. Most of it sounded like nonsense, wild theories about government conspiracies and alien invasions, but one message caught her attention. It came from someone who claimed to be a former GDI employee and mentioned experiments involving captured extraterrestrials. Emily's heart raced as she read the message again. If even half of it was true, this story could change everything. She decided to dig deeper, starting with Mark Brooks, Rachel's estranged brother. Mark had worked for the GDI years ago, before leaving under mysterious circumstances. Though he rarely spoke about his past, Emily knew he might hold the key to uncovering the truth. She found Mark in a quiet diner on the outskirts of Chicago, nursing a cup of coffee. He looked older than his picture, his face lined with stress and regret. When Emily introduced herself, he hesitated but eventually agreed to talk. They sat in a corner booth, away from prying ears. "You don't know what you're getting into," Mark said after Emily explained why she was there. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "The things I saw. They'll keep you up at night." "Try me," Emily replied, leaning forward. "People deserve to know the truth." Mark sighed and began to speak. He told her about secret facilities buried deep underground where scientists dissected alien bodies and reverse-engineered their technology. The work had been brutal, often unethical, but the results were undeniable. Humanity's greatest advancements, from fusion power to cloaking devices, came from those experiments. But it wasn't just about tech, Mark continued, his hands trembling slightly. They wanted to understand the aliens' weaknesses, how to fight them if it ever came to war. Every breakthrough came at a cost. Some of those creatures, they weren't dead when we started cutting them open. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. She scribbled notes furiously, though part of her wished she hadn't asked. "And Rachel? Does she know about this?" "She knows more than she lets on," Mark admitted. "She thinks she's doing the right thing, protecting Earth. But sometimes I wonder if she realizes the price we've paid. And will keep paying." As Emily left the diner, her mind raced with questions. How much of what Mark said was true? And if it was, how would the public react? She knew publishing the story could spark outrage, or worse, fear that might lead to chaos. But staying silent wasn't an option either. Back at the GDI headquarters, Rachel learned about the leak during a tense meeting with General Hayes. "This complicates things," Hayes growled, slamming a folder onto the table. "We can't control the narrative anymore." "What do we do?" Rachel asked, her voice tight with worry. "If people find out everything, they'll demand answers," Hayes interrupted. Answers we're not ready to give. Meanwhile, protests erupted outside government buildings across the globe. In Chicago, Jack Miller watched demonstrators march through the streets holding signs that read "Truth about aliens" and "No more secrets." He didn't fully understand what was going on, but the sight made him uneasy. Across the country, Lisa Carter tried to reassure her students when they asked about aliens during class. "It's probably just rumors," she said, forcing a smile. But deep down, she wasn't so sure. As tensions mounted, Emily wrestled with her decision. Exposing the GDI's secrets could bring accountability, but it might also provoke retaliation from other alien species once word got out. Humanity's fragile position in the galaxy hung in the balance, and Emily knew her next move could shape its future. For now, she typed the headline of her exposé. Asterisk Earth's Hidden Truth. The Cost of Power. Asterisk. The eclipse drifted silently through the void of space, its sleek form blending seamlessly with the darkness. Inside, Rachel Brooks gripped the edge of her seat, her knuckles white as she stared at the glowing monitors displaying the Varnock scout ship ahead. The alien vessel loomed larger with each passing second, its metallic surface shimmering faintly under the distant light of the sun. It was both beautiful and terrifying, a reminder of just how small humanity truly was in the grand scheme of the universe. Daniel Grayson sat beside her, his eyes scanning the data streaming across his console. "Their shields are active," he murmured, adjusting a dial on the control panel. "But they haven't fired any weapons yet. That's a good sign." Rachel nodded, though her stomach churned with nerves. "Let's hope it stays that way." She glanced at the two pilots seated in front of them, their faces calm but focused as they guided the Eclipse closer to the alien craft. Despite the tension, everyone aboard the ship understood the stakes. This wasn't just about making contact, it was about proving that Earth was not a planet to be underestimated. As the Eclipse came within range, the Varnock ship responded. A bright beam of light shot out from its hull, bathing the human vessel in an eerie glow. For a moment, Rachel thought they were under attack, but then she realized it was a scanning pulse, meant to gather information rather than destroy. The ship shuddered slightly as the energy washed over it, but the cloaking systems held firm. "They're analyzing us," Grayson said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Probably trying to figure out if we're a threat. And what happens when they realize we're not just a weather satellite?" one of the pilots asked, glancing back over his shoulder. "That's where diplomacy comes in," Rachel replied, forcing a weak smile. She activated the communication array and began transmitting a series of mathematical sequences, universal symbols designed to convey intelligence and peaceful intent. It was a gamble, but it was all they had. Moments later, the Varnock ship responded. A holographic image flickered to life in the center of the Eclipse's cockpit, revealing an alien figure unlike anything Rachel or Grayson had ever seen. Commander Xalthar stood tall, his elongated frame covered in smooth iridescent scales that shifted colors with every movement. His large, almond-shaped eyes studied the humans with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "You are not who you appear to be," Xalthar said, his voice deep and resonant, translated into English by the ship's eye. "Explain yourselves." Rachel took a deep breath, steadying herself before speaking. "We represent Earth, a planet you may have dismissed as primitive. You're correct. We've hidden our true nature until now. But we mean no harm. We seek only to understand your intentions and to ensure our survival." Xalthar tilted his head, clearly intrigued. "Survival? Your species has achieved remarkable technological feats. Why would you fear destruction?" "Because history has taught us caution," Rachel replied. "We've faced threats before, both from within and beyond our world. We've learned to protect ourselves while remaining unseen. But now that you've discovered us, we believe honesty is the best path forward." Grayson leaned forward, activating a display screen to project images of Earth's advancements. Fusion reactors powering cities, quantum computers solving equations once thought impossible, and sleek starships capable of traveling between planets. "This is what we've accomplished," he said, his tone measured but confident. "And this is only the beginning." Xalthar studied the holograms carefully, his expression unreadable. Finally, he spoke. "Impressive. But knowledge such as this carries responsibility and danger. Other species will not look kindly upon your rise to power. Are you prepared for the consequences?" Rachel hesitated, glancing at Grayson. They hadn't anticipated this line of questioning. "We're willing to face whatever comes," she said firmly. "But we'd prefer allies to enemies." For a long moment, Xalthar said nothing. Then, with a slight nod, he extended a clawed hand toward the hologram. "Very well. I will report your actions to my superiors. Until then, consider this encounter neutral." As the transmission ended, the Eclipse's crew let out a collective sigh of relief. They hadn't won the Varnock's trust, but they hadn't triggered outright hostility either. For now, that was enough. Back on Earth, Jack Miller finished his shift at the repair shop, unaware that humanity's first meeting with aliens had just taken place. Across the country, Lisa Carter tucked her son into bed, humming a soft lullaby. Neither of them knew that Earth's future now depended on whether the Varnock chose to see humans as friends or foes. General Hayes stood in the center of the GDI's command room, his arms crossed as he listened to the team debate their next move. The Varnock probe was still orbiting Earth, gathering data and staying just out of reach of the GDI's stealth drones. Every hour that passed increased the risk of exposure. If the aliens discovered Earth's true capabilities too quickly, it could lead to panic, or worse, war. But if humanity played its cards right, this could be an opportunity to establish a dialogue. "We can't keep hiding," Daniel Grayson said firmly, pacing near the monitors. "If we act like we have something to fear, they'll see us as weak. We need to show them we're not easy targets." Rachel Brooks nodded, though her expression was tense. "But how do we do that without giving away everything? Once they know what we're capable of, there's no going back." Hayes tapped his fingers on the table, thinking hard. "What if we sent a delegation? A small group aboard one of our ships, disguised as something harmless. A weather satellite, maybe. We make contact, show them we're intelligent and prepared, but don't reveal all our secrets at once." The room fell silent as everyone considered the idea. It was risky. Sending humans into space to meet an unknown alien species could end in disaster. But staying silent wasn't an option either. The Varnock clearly knew something was off about Earth, and pretending otherwise would only raise suspicions further. "I'll go," Rachel said suddenly, breaking the silence. Heads turned toward her, surprised by her boldness. She straightened in her chair, meeting Hayes' gaze. "I've been analyzing their signals. I understand their patterns better than anyone else here. If we want to communicate, I should be part of the team." Grayson frowned. "It's dangerous. What if they attack?" "They won't," Rachel replied, though she didn't sound entirely convinced herself. "If they wanted to destroy us, they'd have done it already. They're curious. That gives us leverage." After a long pause, Hayes nodded. "All right. You're on the team. Grayson, you'll join her. You know our tech better than anyone. And we'll send 2 pilots to handle the ship." He glanced around the room. "Start prepping the Eclipse *. We leave within 48 hours." While the GDI scrambled to prepare for the mission, life continued unchanged for most people. Jack Miller spent the morning fixing cars, oblivious to the fact that humanity's future might depend on the success of a handful of individuals. He joked with a customer about the strange lights some people claimed to have seen in the sky recently. "Probably just a satellite or something," he said with a shrug. The customer laughed and agreed, neither of them realizing how close they were to the truth. In Seattle, Lisa Carter taught her students about the solar system, pointing out planets on a colorful chart pinned to the wall. When one boy asked if aliens existed, she smiled and said, "Maybe, but even if they do, I'm sure they're far away from us." Her words gave her comfort, though deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something big was happening, something she didn't fully understand. Meanwhile, the Eclipse * underwent final checks in a hidden hangar deep underground. The spacecraft looked unassuming, designed to resemble a weather satellite to avoid drawing attention. Inside, however, it bristled with advanced technology, cloaking devices, communication arrays, and defensive systems ready to deploy at a moment's notice. As Rachel and Grayson reviewed the mission plan, tension hung heavy in the air. Neither of them had ever faced anything like this before. They didn't know what the Varnock wanted, or whether they could be trusted. All they knew was that Earth's survival might depend on their ability to negotiate. Finally, the day of the launch arrived. Rachel took a deep breath as she climbed aboard the Eclipse *, her heart pounding. Grayson gave her a reassuring nod, though his own hands trembled slightly as he adjusted the controls. The pilots powered up the engines, and the ship ascended smoothly, disappearing into the clouds. High above Earth, the Varnock scout ship detected the Eclipse *''s approach. Commander Xalfar watched the readings carefully, intrigued by the tiny vessel heading straight for them. Was this a trap? Or was it an attempt at communication? Whatever the humans were planning, he decided to wait and see. For now, patience was key. As the Eclipse moved closer to the alien ship, Rachel stared out the window at the vast expanse of space. She felt both terrified and exhilarated. Humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed. And there was no turning back. Rachel Brooks sat in the dimly lit control room of the Global Defense Initiative, her mind racing as she sifted through decades-old files. General Hayes had given her clearance to access classified archives, documents so secret that even most GDI members didn't know they existed. What she found left her stunned. Earth wasn't just a planet with a few advanced gadgets or stolen alien tech. It was a galactic superpower hiding in plain sight, biding its time until it could step onto the cosmic stage. The files revealed a hidden history. Over the past century, humanity had recovered fragments of alien technology from crashed ships and abandoned outposts. At first, these discoveries were accidental. A farmer stumbling upon a strange object in a field, or scientists uncovering debris after meteor showers. But over time, the GDI turned these accidents into opportunities. They reverse-engineered the alien tech, learning how to harness energy sources, build cloaking devices, and create weapons far deadlier than anything Earth had ever known. One name kept appearing in the documents: Daniel Grayson. A physicist who had worked on some of the earliest projects, Grayson was now one of the leading minds behind Earth's technological advancements. Rachel remembered hearing rumors about him, but never imagined his role was so crucial. She glanced at her watch and realized he would be arriving soon for an emergency briefing called by General Hayes. As Rachel waited, her thoughts drifted to the people outside the GDI's walls. Ordinary citizens like Jack Miller and Lisa Carter had no idea what was happening above their heads or beneath their feet. To them, life went on as usual. Jack spent his afternoon tinkering with an old motorcycle, while Lisa graded papers at her kitchen table. Neither of them suspected that Earth's fate might hinge on decisions made in this very room. When Daniel Grayson entered the control room, Rachel felt a pang of admiration. He looked unassuming. Average height, graying hair, and glasses perched on his nose, but his presence commanded respect. Hayes wasted no time getting to the point. "We've got visitors," he said, gesturing toward the monitors displaying the Varnock probe's movements. "And based on what we're seeing, they're not amateurs." Grayson studied the data silently, his brow furrowed. "This is bad," he finally said. "If they've detected our energy signatures, they'll figure out we're more advanced than we've let on. Once they realize that, they won't see us as harmless anymore." "That's why we need options," Hayes replied. "Can we use our tech to scare them off without revealing everything?" Grayson hesitated. "Maybe. Our cloaking systems are solid, but if they've already seen through part of it, we can't rely on stealth alone. We might need to show them a sample of what we're capable of, enough to make them think twice about messing with us." Rachel nodded slowly. "What about diplomacy? If we can communicate with them directly, maybe we can avoid conflict altogether." Hayes sighed. "Diplomacy takes time, and we don't know how much patience these aliens have. Still, it's worth considering. For now, I want everyone focused on two things: figuring out what they want and preparing for the worst." As the meeting broke up, Rachel stayed behind, staring at the screens filled with alien signals. She couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was standing on the edge of a precipice. For years, Earth had played the role of a weak, insignificant planet, hiding its true strength to avoid drawing attention from more powerful species. But now, the mask was slipping, and there was no telling what would happen when it fell off completely. Outside, night fell over Chicago. Jack locked up his repair shop and glanced at the stars twinkling above. Something about the sky felt different tonight, though he couldn't put his finger on why. Across the country, Lisa tucked her son into bed and kissed him goodnight. Neither of them knew that somewhere beyond the moon, an alien ship was analyzing Earth's defenses, trying to decide whether humans were friends or foes. Back in the control room, Rachel whispered to herself, "They're going to find out sooner or later." And when they do, her voice trailed off. The weight of humanity's secret pressed down on her shoulders, heavy and unrelenting. The Varnak scout ship remained hidden in Earth's orbit, its sleek metallic hull blending seamlessly with the darkness of space. Inside, Commander Xalthar studied the data streaming across his console. The energy signatures coming from Earth were unlike anything he had seen before, complex, precise, and clearly artificial. At first, he suspected some kind of natural phenomenon, like volcanic activity or magnetic anomalies. But as his crew analyzed the readings further, they realized the truth. Earth was hiding technology far beyond what their scans initially suggested. Xalthar frowned. This didn't make sense. According to Varnak records, Earth was supposed to be primitive, a planet where humans still relied on fossil fuels and fought wars over land and resources. How could such a species develop advanced technology without attracting attention? And why would they keep it hidden? His curiosity deepened, but so did his unease. Whatever secrets Earth held, they could pose a threat to the Varnak if left unchecked. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Rachel Brooks worked tirelessly in the GDI headquarters. Her team had traced the source of the strange signals to a specific region of space near Earth's moon. They couldn't see anything unusual through their telescopes, but Rachel knew better than to trust her eyes. If the visitors were using cloaking technology, they wouldn't show up on any visual scans. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. General Hayes paced the control room, his boots clicking against the polished floor. He leaned over Rachel's shoulder, squinting at the glowing screens filled with lines of code and graphs. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, his voice low but urgent. "As sure as I can be," Rachel replied without looking up. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, running simulations and cross-referencing data. "Whoever they are, they're not broadcasting openly. This isn't random interference. It's intentional." Hayes nodded grimly. "Then we need to find out who they are and what they want. Fast." He turned to another officer. "Get me a status update on our orbital defenses and prepare a response team, just in case." While the GDI scrambled to prepare for the unknown, life outside continued as usual. In Chicago, Jack Miller finished fixing a broken-down truck and headed home for dinner. He flipped through TV channels, pausing briefly on a news report about increased military activity around the globe. The anchor mentioned exercises and drills, nothing too alarming. Jack shrugged and switched to a baseball game instead. Across the country, Lisa Carter tucked her students' artwork into folders after school ended for the day. She chatted with a colleague about weekend plans, completely unaware of the tension brewing in secret facilities miles beneath their feet. Back in orbit, the Varnak crew grew bolder. Xalthar decided to test Earth's defenses by sending a probe closer to the atmosphere. The small device slipped past satellites and radar systems undetected, gathering more detailed information about the planet below. What it found shocked even Xalthar. Beneath Earth's surface, buried deep underground, were massive structures emitting faint but unmistakable energy pulses. These weren't natural formations. They were machines, vast and intricate, designed for purposes Xalthar couldn't yet understand. As the probe transmitted its findings back to the scout ship, Xalthar felt a mix of awe and dread. Whoever these humans were, they weren't as helpless as they seemed. Their technology rivaled, or perhaps even surpassed, that of the Varnak. But why would they hide such power? Were they planning an attack? Or was there another reason? On Earth, Rachel noticed something new on her monitors. A faint blip appeared in the upper atmosphere, moving slowly but deliberately. It wasn't human-made. Her heart skipped a beat. "We've got company," she said sharply, alerting General Hayes. Hayes moved quickly. "Can we track it?" Rachel nodded, her eyes glued to the screen. "Yes, but it's staying just out of range of our weapons. Looks like reconnaissance." "Then let's give them something to think about," Hayes muttered. He ordered a squadron of stealth drones to shadow the intruder, careful not to provoke it outright. For now, observation was key. Neither side wanted to escalate things prematurely. Unbeknownst to both parties, this quiet game of cat and mouse marked the beginning of something far bigger. The Varnock had underestimated Earth, and Earth had underestimated the Varnock. As the hours ticked by, tensions mounted on both sides. Humanity's greatest secret was no longer safe, and neither was the fragile peace that had allowed it to remain hidden for so long. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, far from the bustling trade routes and glowing nebulae that most civilizations called home, an alien species known as the Varnock made a startling discovery. They had been scanning nearby star systems for planets rich in resources, hoping to expand their empire. But when they turned their sensors toward Earth, something strange caught their attention. At first glance, Earth seemed like any other unremarkable planet, a rocky world with oceans, forests, and cities scattered across its surface. Yet beneath the layers of clouds and atmospheric interference, their instruments picked up faint energy signatures, unlike anything they had ever encountered. The Varnock were confused. These readings suggested advanced technology, but how could that be? For centuries, their astronomers had dismissed Earth as primitive, a backwater planet where humans still fought wars over land and resources. It didn't make sense. To get answers, the Varnock dispatched a small scout ship, cloaked and nearly invisible, to investigate further. Little did they know, this decision would change everything, for them and for humanity. Meanwhile, on Earth, life went on as usual. In Chicago, Jack Miller woke up early to start his day at the auto repair shop. He sipped coffee while listening to the morning news on the radio. The headlines were typical: political debates, sports scores, and weather updates. Nothing unusual. Across the country, in Seattle, Lisa Carter prepared lesson plans for her 5th grade class. Her students loved her science experiments, especially the ones involving rockets and magnets. Neither Jack nor Lisa had any idea that their ordinary lives were about to collide with something extraordinary. Unbeknownst to the people of Earth, there was more to their planet than met the eye. Deep underground, hidden facilities buzzed with activity. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly on projects so classified that even most world leaders didn't know they existed. One such facility housed Rachel Brooks, a cryptographer who specialized in decoding alien signals. She was part of a top-secret organization called the Global Defense Initiative, GDI, tasked with protecting Earth from extraterrestrial threats. When Rachel arrived at work that morning, she noticed something odd on her monitors. Strange patterns flickered across the screen, unlike any human communication she had seen before. At first, Rachel thought it might be interference or a glitch, but as she analyzed the data, her heart began to race. This wasn't random noise. It was deliberate. Someone, or something, was trying to communicate. And worse, whoever it was seemed to be close by. Rachel immediately alerted her supervisor, General David Hayes, a grizzled veteran with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Together, they pieced together what little information they had. The signal appeared to be coming from space, orbiting high above Earth's atmosphere. Whoever these visitors were, they weren't human. General Hayes wasted no time. He ordered increased surveillance and mobilized a team to track the source of the signal. While the rest of the world remained blissfully unaware, the GDI sprang into action. Back at the repair shop, Jack fixed a car's engine without a second thought about the strange lights streaking across the sky the night before. And in her classroom, Lisa explained the concept of gravity to her students, oblivious to the fact that Earth's gravity, and its place in the universe, was about to shift forever. For now, the Varnock scout ship hovered silently in orbit, watching and waiting. Its crew studied the planet below, puzzled by the mix of simplicity and sophistication they observed. On one hand, Earth looked primitive, with outdated machines and crude infrastructure. On the other hand, those mysterious energy signatures hinted at secrets buried deep within the planet's crust. What was Earth hiding, And why had no one noticed until now? As the hours passed, both sides grew more curious and more cautious. The Varnock knew they couldn't leave without answers. And on Earth, Rachel and her colleagues braced themselves for whatever came next. Humanity's greatest secret was about to be uncovered, whether they were ready or not.